What's up, traders? Zach here with the Trading Network. I hope you guys are doing well and that you had a nice weekend. I am back with yet another weekly market profile forecast for both the ES and NQ futures markets. So let's waste no time and dive right in here to the NQ session profile. I'll do the same with the ES session profile. I'll move over to the weekly profiles as well as the weekly candlestick charts and just discuss my thoughts in regards to some major inflection points and great levels that we will very likely have some high probability trade opportunity at. So first and foremost, as usual, if we open around a prior range high or a prior session high, in this case, the high from Friday at 11,686, that is going to be a line in the sand level moving forward. So my thought is if we can move and hold above Friday's high at 11,686, very likely to move up to these prior levels, 721 and 729. This is Wednesday's high. That's January 18th to be specific. And that level is 11,759. So what I will be looking at most importantly is the reaction to Friday's high upon open tomorrow in our regular trading hours session on Monday. So that is going to be a major upside level. If we get rejected from this 686 level, I would look for a move first and foremost down to Friday's value area high at 11,586. So that is a 100-point move, just to be precise here, which will offer up some great opportunity, even if we do get rejected from this level. So the main levels to the downside, if we get rejected from Friday's high, would be 11,586, 11,533, which is Friday's POC. We have another point of control from Wednesday's session. That is this session right here at 11,515. So we could even draw a little zone here between 515 and 533. But I think most importantly is going to be a reaction to this 533 level because it is the most recent point of control. You can see that we also have the initial balance high from Friday at 11,488, which would be my next downside level, followed by 11,448, which is the overnight high from the 19th into the 20th session. So that is the Thursday into Friday overnight high there. And then, of course, if we break below that, we've got the overnight POC right around 11.4K. We've got a naked point of control from Thursday at 11,379, lining up with not only the value area low from Friday, but the regular trading hours low as well at 383. So these are so close together that we could definitely draw a little zone here and consider a major area around 11,380. Okay, so on the downside, here are some great targets if you do, take a short upon rejection from Friday's high. But at the very least, watch these levels, mark them off, just draw lines there and leave them on your chart and watch reaction there tomorrow, because regardless of whether we, reject this area and move down, we could bounce here. This could be a good area for longs, could be a good area for shorts from here down to here. Obviously, that's a 100-point move, as I mentioned earlier. So that would be a very large move and some great opportunity if you can capitalize on that. If we do get acceptance above Friday's high, as I mentioned, here are some other levels. And you can see, I just want to point out that we also have two stacking regular trading hours highs here. So this is the high from Tuesday's regular trading hours session, 11,685, and then Friday's high is 686. So move and hold above that level, very likely move to 721, and then 759, call it 760, which once again is Wednesday's high, and we also have the initial balance high up there as well, within a couple of points of each other. So those are the major levels that I will be looking at moving forward into tomorrow's session from a, once again, session profile perspective. So let's pop on over to the weekly profile on NQ, and I will discuss my thoughts there. Going to be relatively similar to the session profile, but for those of you guys who are trading higher time frame or want some macro analysis, more macro analysis, here we go. So as you can see, last week's value area high is at 688. I want to see acceptance above 688 to move to last week's high at 11,759. You can see that there's good confluence between a weekly profile all the way back to December 8th, right? So this small weekly profile right here, this is the week of December 8th, and 753 is the point of control from that weekly session as well. So above that, I'll be looking for a move to 793, 829, and then we've got a weekly naked POC hanging out up here at 12,010. So that is going to be a very, very important area or a level to get acceptance above from a higher time frame perspective. Acceptance above 760, call it 11,760, very likely gets us a move to 790-ish, call it 11.8K. And then above 11.8K, we have this 11,830 level. Above 11,830, we're very likely to see some larger moves. So I will be looking for a move up to this 12,000 level if we can indeed get acceptance and hold above that 11,830 level for a significant amount of time. Now, what I mean by acceptance, for those of you guys that are less familiar with market profile analysis, is basically how much time we spend above a level. If we do a lot of business above a certain level, that is considered acceptance. That means that there are larger time frame players that are interested in buying above a level that was previously clear resistance, right? So that is a change in behavior overall. If people are, or large players more specifically, are interested in buying at a level that was once resistance, then you can consider that they are seeing that area as a fair price to buy, or cheap, if you will. If large players are buying in an area and they're viewing it as cheap, well, of course, they think that price is going to move upwards, and this is where I will be looking for that larger move. Right around 12,000. Call it 12,000 even if you want, but this naked point of control, to be precise, is a naked POC from the week of December 12th, and it is at 12,010 and 50 cents. So keep an eye on that level to the upside. To the downside, on the other hand, if we do get rejected from last week's high, or if we can't even get up to last week's high and we get rejected from last week's value high, which we are just about 20 points below as I make this video, then I once again, on a macro or on a weekly perspective, would be looking for a move to 11,618 first and foremost. Below that, of course, a test of 11.6K, which is the high from not last week, but the week of January 9th. And then below that, we've got the value area high from that same week at 11,545. Below that, we've got a point of control at 11,515. And then below that, if we break below 11,515 and we get rejected from that area, I would be looking for, once again, a larger move down to 11.4K. Technically, 11,408 and 50 cents is the value area low from last week. And of course, a break below that very, very likely gets us a retest of last week's low, which is 11,308.50. So 100 points to the tick between last week's value low and last week's range low as well. So what I will be looking at is essentially the reaction to this upper level here, right? So I want to see whether or not large time frame players, or other time frame players, as Jim Dalton would call them, are interested in buying above last week's value. If that's the case, then very, very high probability we at least get a test of last week's high. And as you guys know, it's kind of like level dominoes, right? So if we break that wall down at 11,760, call it, very likely that we see 11,790, and so on and so forth. So keep an eye on those levels. At the very least, mark them off on your charts. I'm not telling you guys to take any trades. Of course, this is not financial advice, as I feel it's important to say. It is purely just market profile analysis, and I want you guys to see how these levels work for yourselves. I'm not going to tell you what to do other than just simply draw a line here, draw a line here, draw a line here, 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 here. And if price reaches those levels, just watch and wait, and you will very, very likely see some excellent reaction, whether it's using these levels as support, breaking them and retesting them as resistance. Regardless of what happens, very high probability trade opportunity presents itself at or around these levels. So with that said, as I'm sure you guys might imagine, there's going to be a lot of similarities between what I'm looking at on NQ and ES in regards to the major areas from last week and Friday, right? So I'm going to be looking at reaction to last Friday's high, 39.90 and a half on ES. And if we can get acceptance above that, I will be looking for a move to Wednesday's value area high at 4,001 and a quarter, 4,125 right here. And acceptance above that, I will be looking most likely at this area around 40.15. You can see we've got a lot of stacking levels here. So we have the POC from the 17th at 40.1275. We've got the overnight POC at 40.1275 as well. And we have the the initial balance low from Wednesday regular trading hours session at 40.15, right? So I'm going to draw a little zone between 40.1275, 40.15, and even if I go back, you can see we've got an overnight POC here at 40.14. We've got a regular trading hours high from the 13th at 40.16. So that's going to be a very important area, especially because we have single prints here on ES. And for those of you guys less familiar, once again, with market profile analysis, single prints basically just identifies an area where there is thin liquidity, which allows price to very easily move through this area compared to an area of dense liquidity, such as a point of control here, right? You can see the bell curve is established with several rows of prints. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows of prints compared to single prints here. So price spent a lot of time here, which of course makes sense because here is the point of control. That is the single price where the most business was taken place in any given session. Same thing right here, 39.51, that's Friday's POC. But if we look here, we have single prints. So if we do reach this 4,001 level and start to move above that and even get into like 4,005, 4,006, I think we have a pretty clear shot to at least 4,012.75. So that can offer up a nice little scalp opportunity all the way up to 4,015 even, which is where we have that initial balance low and where our single prints end. So I could draw a little zone here as well within these single prints, and you guys can do the same. And just keep in mind that if we do breach into this area, very likely that price moves from 4,006 and 3/4, 4,007 if you want to call it that, all the way up to 4,015. So not a crazy move, but I just want to give you guys some good opportunity to take some high probability trades utilizing this market profile analysis. So on the upside, just to reiterate here, if we get accepted above 39.90, look for a move first and foremost to 39.96. 4,001, and then above 4,001, very likely we get a test of this zone between 4,012 and 4,015 or 4,017 if I wanted to just drag this up a little bit to match up with the high from January 13th as well. So on the downside, if we get rejected from Friday's high, or if we struggle to even push above and test that level, first level I'm going to be looking at is this area between Friday's value area high and Wednesday's POC. That's going to be a zone between 39.6350 and 39.66. Watch for a move down to this area. If we breach this level to the downside, get rejected from that area, I will once again be looking at this zone between Friday's POC at 39.51 even and the overnight high from the 18th into 19th at 39.4875. So that's going to be an important level. If that gets broken, first level to the downside is going to be 39.43. Then we have another set of stacking market profile levels between basically, one tick away from each other. So the overnight POC from the 18th into 19th matches up with the high from Thursday at 39.40 1/4. And of course, we have the initial balance high here from Friday at 39.38. So we could draw another zone, and it's pretty tight here. It's only a couple points. So this is another area where we are likely to see great reaction because we have stacking market profile levels there as well. And this is going to be another good level, just as an example, to potentially short the POC down to this 39.40 level. And if that breaks, we've got 39.33 here, which is the overnight high from the 19th into the 20th. 39.33 is also the initial balance high from Thursday. And 39.34 1/4 is the value area high from Thursday. So that's going to be another nice little area to watch for reaction at as well. Of course, we've got levels down here, 39.23 and then 39.19. That's the point of control from Thursday. And it was also a naked POC all the way back from January 10th. So that is an important area as well. But obviously, we're all the way up here at 39.8450. So we got a long ways to go before we get down into those levels. I just wanted to point them out for you on a session basis to give you guys just a good idea of where I'm going to be looking if we do see some selling pressure. Now let's pop on over to the ES weekly profile. You guys can see here that we're currently sitting below the point of controls and within value from the last 2 weeks, right? So this is fair value. That means that this is an area, I'll be specific here. The value area is where 70% of all trading activity took place in the last 2 weeks. And you can see here that our value areas overall are very, very close. The value area high from last week, 40.21, value area high from the week before that, 4,007. So there's a little bit more of a distance there. But you can see here the value area lows, this is very interesting as well because you could consider it a support resistance flip. The high of the week from January 3rd is 39.28, and then those become, or that level becomes the value area low from the last 2 weeks, right? So you could consider that as price moved up to this level before at the beginning of January, it was getting strong selling, right? We couldn't move above that level at all. Now, the last 2 weeks, that has become a value area low where there has been more buying, right? That is the value area low. That is the lowest area of the value area, right? And this might seem obvious for those of you guys that are already familiar with market profile, but I think it's important to point these things out because this is a change in structure, right? We have price come down, put in lows, and then we are using this area now as support that was previously resistance, and not just resistance from 1 week, but from several weeks, right? This week, December 19th, couldn't get above 39.18. The week after that, we couldn't even get above 38.82. And then once again, the week from January 3rd, we struggled to move above 39.28, and now those are our value area lows. So if we do breach this area, once again, we can draw a zone between 39.28 and 39.31. If we break down below here, that would be a change in behavior back to the downside, in my opinion, especially if we spend a lot of time down here, right? So as it stands right now, and I'll get into this as I move into the weekly candlestick charts, I am looking for more upside, especially because we are closer to these upside naked POCs as it stands. We have a naked point of control from the week of December 12th at 4,050 and a quarter. And if we can get acceptance above, of course, last week's high, I mean, that's very, very close to this naked POC. But even acceptance above the prior value area highs from the last 2 weeks, first and foremost at 4,007, and then secondly at 4,021.75, that's just going to further increase the probability of us moving up to tap this naked POC at 40.50 and a quarter. So keep an eye on that to the upside. Of course, we have these downside levels that I discussed, but regardless, it should be a week of immense opportunity as long as we can stay patient, stay focused in on our major levels, not get sucked in, not get attached to any one side, be flexible in our analysis, and not be biased too strongly either way. So with that said, let us hop on over to the weekly candlestick charts, and I'll discuss very briefly what I'm looking at, what I'm thinking, and we will wrap up the video. Alrighty, so let's check out the NQ weekly chart, right? So what we have here is we have not only a local low followed by another local low, but we have a low put in here and we have a higher low confirmed on the NQ weekly chart, right? We also have what I like to refer to as a three-step shift, and this is a macro three-step shift, right? So we have divergence. In this situation, it is divergent on the slow stochastics, as you can see here. These stochastics, these slow stochastics are the green and the blue levels right here. So you can see that the Stokes are making higher lows, and here price was making lower lows. Now, after that divergence was confirmed by this candle closing above the top of this candle, we pulled into the opportunity zone. We rejected it on the weekly, and now we have confirmed a higher low after this divergence. So on a 377 tick chart, which is my bread and butter entry chart or trigger chart, this is an entry signal for me. Now, I'm not telling you guys, as I said last week, not financial advice by any means, but what I mentioned last week in my analysis came to fruition, right? We had our local low confirmed right here, and then we got follow through confirming another bullish bar closing above the top of the prior, right? So let's say this was a 377 tick chart. I would be entering here upon the close of this bar, which once again confirms a local low and a higher low, and I would probably have a stop loss somewhere down here, because if we break these lows once again, that invalidates this trade idea as we are making new lows and lower lows now, and this higher low is negated. So what I will be looking at this week is more upside pressure, very likely into this 12,080-ish level to be precise. And if I show you guys, let's see if I can bounce back here to my market profile. I'll flip over to NQ. You can see that we have that naked POC at 12,010, right? So there is a good amount of confluence there. So don't be surprised if you see buyers step in, especially on a macro level or a macro scale, to see that 12,000 level tested, to see that 12,010 naked weekly POC get tapped. So that is what I am leaning towards. I let price action tell me what to do, and that is exactly what I am doing now. And once again, I'm staying flexible, but behavior has changed once we put in this higher low. So I am waiting, I'm watching, I'm going to be patient, and I think that there is immense opportunity abound both on a micro and macro scale. So what I want to show you guys here on the ES weekly chart is that ES has also the same structure, right? We have that three-step shift, if you will. Here's the bullish divergence on the slow stochastics. If I pulled up my RSX, which is another momentum oscillator that I use, same thing, we've got bullish divergence there, followed by a higher low. But I am very interested to see if ES gets that follow through, because ES is already inside of and really right around the middle of the opportunity zone on the weekly, right? So if we can move above the opportunity zone on the weekly, come back down, put in another higher low, and retest this area as support, especially with the weekly moving averages crossing back to the upside, that is once again going to just signal for me another confirmation that behavior is likely changing on a macro scale. Now, what I am saying is that we likely have a temporary low. I'm not saying that this is the macro low, although it absolutely could be. I want to wait to see some more confirmation to say that with more confidence, but this is what I would look for if it did happen, right? A move above the op zone, coming back, and then using that opportunity zone as support instead of using it as resistance, which we have been doing for basically, the entirety of the last year or over the last year, right? You can see that we put in the top last January, and here we are, and possibly changing structure. Or I'll say this, we have changed structure at the very least, because we have not been able to put in higher lows, and we have a higher low. So I just wanted to point that out. Once again, I'm an intraday trader. Of course, I have macro positions. I trade options and things of that nature as well. But what I do here on this channel is mainly focusing on intraday trading opportunity. But I feel like it's important to paint an appropriate picture and, use all of the tools and information that I have at my disposal to help you guys the very best that I can. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. As always, I want to thank you guys very much for taking the time to watch this content. If you have any questions about what we do at the Trading Network, or any questions or comments about this analysis, please feel free to drop them down in the comments below. If you guys would like to learn more about what we do here at the Trading Network, as well as in our private Discord during our daily live streams, please feel free to check out thetradingnetwork.io, where you can purchase access to our most popular offering, the Trading Network Pro Trader Bundle, which includes lifetime Discord access to the TTN Proprietary Indicator Package, as well as our Fundamentals of Futures Trading course, where I teach multiple strategies for varying market conditions, such as the Opportunity Zone, our trending strategy, and the Momentum Flip, our ranging strategy. And I also teach the three-step shift, which is our reversal strategy, which I was just briefly discussing as well. So once again, if you guys have any questions about the products that we offer, feel free to email us at info@thetradingnetwork.io. You guys can, of course, purchase all of those products that I just mentioned standalone on our website, as well as one-on-one mentorship with me. And if you guys are curious about anything else, you know where to find us. You can message us. You can leave us a comment on the YouTube. You can email us anywhere that you can find or get a hold of us. We will respond as soon as possible and help any way that we possibly can. Once again, I greatly appreciate your guys' time. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Much love.